There's a concept from real sports I want to introduce you to this week, and if somehow you missed it over my head up there, it's when the wheels fall off. Although not literally, although I guess sometimes in real sports, sometimes it can be. You know, let's just cut to the music and I'll explain. Right off the bat, I want to call it between this concept and burning out. A burnout is more of a long-term situation, like somebody like a guild leader or somebody playing competitive esports, or it could be like a decades-long gamer who's just been at it so long they can't even care enough to win a simple dungeon crawl. Mostly you hear people talk about the wheels coming off in relationship to like a single event, so to use it in context, he was running the marathon very well, and then the wheels came off and he had to stop racing. You know, the bad stuff happens and players fall apart so fast that people around them get hit by shrapnel. If it happens enough, it can lead to burnout, but what we're talking about here is more of the immediate situation. That and catastrophic failures too, and it's not just like a slow decline kind of a thing. It's kind of like watching a train wreck in slow motion from the inside of the train. Yeah, it's an absolutely miserable experience to find yourself in the middle of here. So where does it start? Probably not where you're thinking. You might think that when the player rage quits a match, that's the kind of point where the wheels come off, but I would disagree. It starts well before that point. In almost every case, the signs are plainly visible to people outside looking in, but not to the player themselves. But by the same token, it's not exactly a slow, gradual decline either. It's kind of an avalanche, really. The player keeps on saying, "I got this, I'm in control," and then the mountain falls on top of them. For gaming purposes, it can start long before you fire up the game. I mean, let's say dinner sucked, you got a parking ticket today, you had a crap day at school or at work, and you couldn't find a place to park your car, so you had to walk like 3 or 8 blocks in freezing cold temperatures, or you slept funny the night before. Hell, it could just be stuff left over from last week that you're still angry about. It's human nature. You bring the real world into the game with you, intentionally or not, and you enter the game with this chip on your shoulder. In-game, well, it doesn't get much better because you feel like your team sucks and they're not doing anything and you're the one running all over the place and picking up after your rest of your team, and there's always this pressure aspect too. A lot of people laugh when I say that, but online gaming is an extremely high-pressure environment. In online gaming, perfection is not good enough. You can do everything right and people will still complain at you for just not doing it better. You know, you should have done it with more DPS and dealt with the ads faster and picked them up before they even spawned. Or alternatively, you can get virtually yelled at for being too good. And yes, that does in fact happen. But hang on, let's take a step back here. Does your team actually suck? Or are you just kind of making it worse for them? And yourself? And yeah, I mean that. Okay, I've used this footage a lot before when I talk about this kind of thing. This is a World of Warcraft pug from Dragon Soul, and this was many, many years ago, which is why it looks so bad. You know, I hadn't intended on live streaming this until it took that wheels falling off turn and it just became a train wreck. At that point, I wanted to film it because I just knew. So, Ultraxian fight, the party wipes. It's a pug, these things happen. But a vocal minority started yelling at the team, and it quickly devolved into finger pointing. You know, kick the lowest DPS, kick the tank, kick the healer. And eventually, yeah, we did beat the dragon, but it didn't get much better because the well was thoroughly poisoned at that point. On to the next fight, War Master Blackthorn. Any error, real or fabricated, was met with immediate complaining, immediate blame, immediate demands to kick the offending party. By the time we got to Deathwing, yeah, all the surviving party members were just intentionally sabotaging the group out of sheer spite. And that, of course, led to round after round of grinding, kicking people out, trying to find more people, and then kicking out the new people for sucking so bad, for sabotaging us, and I managed to survive the group just by keeping my head down and just not engaging anyone. What happened was a classic example of the blame game, and when it starts to go, okay, it's like imagine yourself, you're a passenger in a car, and you actually see the tires kind of pop off, and the driver's like, I got this. Meanwhile, you're grabbing the oh fuck handle on the door because you know exactly what's about to happen, but the person who's in control of this thing is just in complete denial. Incidentally, this might be a good opportunity to talk about a scientific study that I found which said that howler monkeys, the louder the monkey, the smaller its balls are. Okay, let me ask this in all seriousness. Has anyone in an MMO ever been inspired by being told they're a worthless piece of shit? Has anyone ever said, oh wow, you're right, we are all worthless fucks, we should work to improve that? Well, of course not. It's met with force on force, and groups will grind to a halt while they argue back and forth and they blame who's actually to blame in all this, and they'll start kicking and all that. Kicking players out really doesn't help either because it ratchets up the stress that I talked about earlier. Now, all the remaining players, now they're on edge because they know that any mistake they make will result in termination. And this counts for perceived mistakes too, or just blame shifting. And this creates an interesting group dynamic where the game becomes who can blame who first inside the group, and who does so the loudest. So effectively, one person's blowout has now become the group blowout, and it creates a witch hunt mentality amongst players, which really doesn't help anyone. How can you fight a monster in front of you when you're worried about getting stabbed in the back? And rapidly this disintegrates, even affecting new players in the group. And you can just feel that tension when you get dropped into an angry group in progress.
And people are going to watch this and they're going to say, lol, I never explode, I never blow up, I never melt down. Of course you don't. You're perfect, everybody else sucks, and I understand your pain. Honestly, I do. Actually, that's kind of the problem.
You know, one of the problems about doing this topic, at least on this channel, is that I have a sympathetic audience. Okay, this is going to come off as pandering, but on MUD2MMO, the core audience tends to have some sense of humanity to them. I don't attract the lulz crowd, and honestly, I'm okay with that. But it also means that when I'm going to say things like I'm about to, most of you are going to say, well, yeah, we do that already, but I'm going to say it anyway on the off chance that you share this video with somebody else. In the immediate situation, it's really hard to determine when the wheels are coming off of your own game, because most of the time, you know you're right. You know, that one guy is fucking the group up, that healer sucks, the tank sucks dick, the guy over there sucks donkey dick. You're playing perfectly, everyone else is shit. Except most of the time they aren't. You're just expecting too much out of them, and you're assuming too much from yourself. And the moment you start shit-talking them, you just sabotaged your own team. If your frustration is so high that you need to start reprimanding your team, it's a sure sign that the wheels are long gone. And when that happens, just walk away.
Literally, get away from your computer. Walk away. Do something. Do anything. Just get out of the computer screen. You're not doing your teammates any good. You're not doing yourself any good by sitting there being miserable. So get out. Go for a walk. Go for a bike ride. I highly recommend the bike ride, by the way.
Look, when the wheels do come off, it's never just that moment. It's everything that's led up to that moment. It's not just that fight, it's not just the raid, it's not just the game. It's oftentimes what you brought into the game from the outside. So for example, a lot of people play games to escape from a bad day, thinking that the game will make everything better. But honestly, that's kind of like trying to drive cross country with just 1 gallon of gas and bad tires, and you're just assuming that the car is going to make its own fuel and repair its own tires as you're driving. That's not going to end well. Or, you know, people will enter a game assuming that they're the best player in the world, or that they need to carry the group because everyone else is a scrub. Or, on the other hand, their group's going to carry them to easy, fast victories. Yeah, actually, people blow up when a group won't carry them and they resort to the "you suck" speeches. It's very easy to get wound up over the course of a night until you just finally snap. Or sometimes it's just being angry at yourself. You missed a scoring opportunity, the RNG hates you, you can't connect, whatever the case is. Every mistake amplifies the next mistake, and you keep on saying, I got this, but you know that you don't. And every miss makes you just scream, damn it, even louder. Eventually, you can't do anything right, and boom.
So my advice is basically just not to care. Okay, look, I'm not trying to tell you not to try to win, but I'm also telling you that mistakes happen, people are human, and, you know, losing happens. It's just part of the gaming experience. And just because one of my teammates made a mistake doesn't mean I'm going to ride their ass like an e-ticket attraction here. I can choose to let it ruin my night, or I can not.
In something like Rocket League, teammates own goals score all the time. Now, you can choose to yell at them and make their lives more miserable, or you can quick chat, no problem, and move on with the game. I find that more often than not, just that simple no problem to get your teammates over the mistake and you can get on with the game. In a more raid style situation, you can type in chat, hey, it's alright, we lost, no problem, re-rack, we'll go again. And that goes a long way to keeping the group on track and off the meltdown circuit. We're all human, we all make mistakes. And yeah, I think we'd all rather have fun rather than have somebody yelling at us for wasting their time. I mean, I'm playing MMO, it's not like I'm being paid by the hour here. But even harder to know is when the wheels are coming off in the first place. Am I entering a game overstressed? Am I expecting too much from the game? Am I expecting too much from my team or even myself? It might even be better if I just spent it watching TV or just a movie or YouTube. Am I too tired to play games right now? Am I making dumb mistakes because I'm making dumb mistakes? There are so many variables, yeah, but the alternative is to just blow out, and that's not fun either.
You've heard somebody say that you are your own worst critic? You're also your own worst gauge of your own performance. A lot of times people say that the wheels fall off, and they're saying, oh, you know, just snuck up on me. Now, everybody else on the outside, it's completely obvious what's going on, but in your head, you're fine right up until the point that you just go. Now, in an individual sport, you know, it's just you that goes, and that's just your misery. But in a team thing like, I don't know, MMO gaming, when you blow, you take the entire team with you. And at least in MMOs, there's no coach to pull you off the field for being a dickhead. As much as I wish there were.
Oh wow, going old school with the references today. You know, nobody's gonna get that E-ticket one.
Right, people will.